What's up, everyone? My name is Colton Holland, and this is just what it looks like to build an $100 million software company at the age of 20 years old. This video is just going to be like a sit down, me talking while I do some work here, so you can kind of see what the process looks like. Before I get the questions, is it worth $100 million yet? No, definitely not. Is it close to the seven-figure evaluation? Yes, it is, from speaking with investors. However, the point is to kind of get up there. I've been really messing with watching like Brett Scales and his videos, so I want to start doing a lot more just like documenting the process videos, just so you guys can see what it looks like to be someone that has come from literally nothing to eventually being at the top. And so if you don't already know what I do, I have a company called Orion AI Solutions. And what we provide at Orion AI is a CRM that is specifically designed around AI access and automation for life insurance sales processes. And soon we're going to take over like all of the sales industry, but we're just niching down to start. Before we take on other, outbound sales processes. You can see like right here, that's the UI, kind of what it looks like. There's a lot of different features on it. We just built into the feature our own little like OpenClaw bot that every single user gets, so they can have a bot that can organize tasks, do other things like that to enable them to not need to go through the complexity of setting up OpenClaw, since a lot of the agents we sell to are life insurance agents and they don't know anything about tech. So that's the main thing I'm working on today. We're just deploying it. Bit of story of where like I kind of came from though. So before this, I was actually in the life insurance industry. I was a sales manager. I built a sales team up to $122,000 a month. And I ended up losing it all. Some of it was definitely my fault in terms of my spending habits. I was living kind of like too lavishly before I should have. A lot of it though, I was just not hiring the right people and they ended up leaving me a lot of roll-up debt. And then all that came crashing down. So like right now, every single dollar in my bank account has gone to launching this. And we just launched a week ago. We have 30 users, all paying about $100 a month and then paying usage on top of that. And we're about to increase our prices. So if this is something you'd be interested in, sign up before April 1st, because that's when prices are going to go up. And we're going to be grandfathering in every single person who signs up with their pricing prior to that point. But the main thing I want to talk about in this video is like how actually hard it is to do something like this. A lot of people, they're going to see things online of people just succeeding, and what they'll only show you is like the easy parts where they're living life, they're on a yacht down in Miami, or they're driving their Ferrari or anything like that, when in reality it's not anywhere close to that like fun. When you get to the point when you're like way up there, it's going to be a lot more fun. The issue is though, a majority of the time, like 99% of the work, you are working way more than any other job would ever have you working, any school would have you working. Even getting a doctorate degree would be way easier than this. Like for example, this is yesterday I took the first like time off, and this was not time off. I worked until 6 o'clock on a Sunday, and then I went and hung out with some people. But like besides that, I've been working from 10 in the morning, from when I wake up to at the minimum midnight every single day. And like there's times when it's just like I want to crash out or anything like that. And a lot of times there's a lot of doubt, but that's kind of how this process looks like. Things breaking all the time. I had 3 pretty major bugs this morning that I really had to fix, and one of them is our main like differentiating factor, where it's the live transfer voice AI that will qualify leads, handle objections, all that. And a bug popped up this morning. I've only had like 6 hours of sleep, so like I was tweaking, but like it's something we got fixed after 4 hours of work. More stuff going in now. So a majority of like what I want to make these videos kind of being is just obviously documenting the process and also giving some value back to you guys, as like a lot of people would consider me like a professional with AI now that I've built an enterprise level software using AI. And then the software is for AI. So not only do I know how to use it, I know how to build around it and use it to automate things. And so in this video, I'll just talk about kind of like the different stages that you need to actually, if you want to start your own, say, AI software company or agentic software company, that's going to be the next massive tech companies are going to be making agentic softwares. If you know what SaaS is, it's software as a service. Next, it's going to be AGAS, agentic, AG, as a service. And the reason for that is less people are paying for the code and more people are paying for the built agents that plug directly into their system for them to use on a usage model. And whether it's open source like OpenClaw or anything like that, or it's a software like Orion AI, what I built, that's where a lot of things are transitioning into. So I have this, I'm launching a fitness app. That's an agentic fitness app coming pretty soon as well. This is going to be where so many $100 million companies that are just going to take over all the things. Like Salesforce is going to be cooked. What are some other SaaS companies that are going to be absolutely cooked? I don't know. I don't know SaaS that well, to be honest. It's just such a gold mine. And this is the first time forever you don't need a crazy amount of money to get involved. It's like this cost me, I don't know, maybe like 15,000 to build over the past 5 or so months. You don't need any skills. I don't know how to write a single line of code or anything like that. But you do have to actually like teach yourself how these functions work, because the AI can't do everything for you. It can connect the dots. Like, think about it like you're writing an essay. If you ask the AI to write an essay on a book that's 300 pages, it's going to give a pretty shitty essay. But if you actually give the AI context of what your 3 body paragraphs are going to be, how you want the opening to sound, how you want the conclusion to sound, then it's going to do a lot better. It's going to connect the dots better. The exact same way with vibe coding or writing code and building softwares with AI. You need to know the different functions that come with this sort of thing. And then when you give all the context to the AI, it can actually write the essay, it can write the code to fill the gaps. And so the first thing you want to do with actually building this is market research. We'll say like when I was building Orion AI, for example, the market research I did was I noticed a lot of people were doing a lot of outbound dialing. Life insurance agents or insurance agents would dial 10, 12 hours a day to get maybe 1 or 2 presentations because so many people didn't want to talk to them. So I was thinking, okay, think of how much more high leverage the job would be. They get paid $1,000 a sale if they just didn't have to dial and do low leverage calling to people who don't want to talk to them 8 hours a day. And they only talk to people when they were closing. So what I did was I built a beta with NAN workflows and other, like proprietary voice AI apps. And I tested the workflows and people loved it and people paid for it. People paid up to $700 a month for it to run AI voice and text. And so from that point, I knew people would pay for the beta. I knew people saw the results. I mean, we saw people turn $1,000 worth of investment into $50,000 in commissions with it. Then I just needed to know how we were going to differentiate. And the main things was making it stupid simple to onboard an agent. So A2P is all handled. All the voice AI campaigns, configuration, SMS AI campaigns, and all that is already done. And we're going to continue to differentiate with things like email AI, where you can actually send cold mass email lists to nurture leads and convert them with email AI. Like I just said, we have our individual Orion AI agent, our bot that every single user gets access to, where it has things like task organization, where it can manage large tasks. It has access to cron jobs and daily reports that it can pull. It can send follow-ups. It can book appointments. It can do all this type of stuff that the standard AI agents that run like SMS AI campaigns or voice AI campaigns don't have the capability of going. So it's like OpenCloud. That's one of our differentiating factors. And then we're going to have other super fucking cool things that we're coming out with. But like that was our market research. And then after market research, I actually had to put a plan together for what was going to come for it. Go High Level has AI in it. Why does Go High Level suck? Well, they have hard-coded limits on outbound calling. So you can only voice AI call a lead 4 times in 2 weeks, and you can only call them once per day. With high volume outbound sales, kind of like jobs, it doesn't really work that well because you just don't get the volume you need. And that's not a legality thing. It's simply just a hard-coded Go High Level thing because they want to avoid all possible legal infringements, which like understandable. We built the same security structures. And so when I take into things like that, I'm like, okay, how does this want to look? And then obviously we take everything we want for our differentiators. And then I have a 2-way conversation with like Opus 4.6, a very smart LLM. Main things I'm talking to about it is like edge cases, UI. How does it actually function? How scalable is this? How can we make this more scalable? How can we make this more efficient? If I want to build a memory system, which our AI also does have, which is another huge differentiator, is we have memory, and we go about that process. Then once you have the full draft, plan, then you need to come up with a tech stack. So it's like, okay, what softwares are we using to run database, to run security, to run job processing? If you have something like queued jobs or you need a worker to process those. Since this is a CRM for Orion AI, for example, who's going to be our enterprise voice AI provider? This fucking cat. Who's going to do telephony for voice? Who's going to do telephony for text? Are they going to be the same person? Are they not? And then other things like phone numbers, phone number health monitoring, all that sort of stuff. How are we going to do that? And then from there, once you have all those 3 things done, you can actually build a first draft, which our first draft looked atrocious. So bad when we built Orion AI's, or I should say I built Orion AI's first draft. That's where you can actually see that everything lays out, all the features, and the UI looks how you want it to. Then you run a security audit. Up until this point, everything is local. You don't want to deploy anything before you've done security auditing. And I did a week straight of security auditing. Security is the one thing you do not want to skip out on when you are building a software. One flaw in security could be the death of your software. or the death of your own financial kind of like capabilities. Like there's some crazy stories of people getting their API keys leaked and then they wake up the next morning with $50,000 of debt. So like that's one thing you can't skip out on. And you actually deploy everything, the API, the database, the code base, to GitHub, and then you host it on something like Vercel, or say if you want to host it on Docker or wherever you do it. And then from there you can do further troubleshooting. Now, if you have a very simple app, you can actually troubleshoot locally as well, especially if you're doing something like the App Store where it's immediately going to be findable. With an enterprise software like this, what we did was just deployed it after the security audit. Did all the troubleshooting myself because we had sign up credentials and it was pretty easy to hide that stuff. And then we ran a beta testing period where we had a bunch of people come on it, give it a lot of volume and find where things break at volume. Because when you put a lot of people on, you're going to find a lot of issues. Like it's never going to be perfect at the time of launch. You can minimize the amount of things you need to fix, but edge cases and all that, you're always going to miss it. And then from there, it's just like a lot of marketing. So like I post like 3 to 5 times a day on my social medias. I have an email list that I send to every single day, or my OpenCloud bot does. No, not every single day, 3 times a week. Now I'm posting more YouTube videos and just going hard in the freaking paint, making affiliate programs, making affiliations with other companies as well. So it's like a two-way thing. And then once you do that, you can actually launch it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to make a lot more videos like this where it's just like raw, authentic, sitting down on the couch or wherever I'm working, and then kind of like talking about, okay, like here's how we're doing things. Here's some tips if you want to go about the same thing, providing a lot of value, how Orion AI is actually coming along. I was supposed to have another investor call tonight where it could have been a fat one. That got canceled. And yeah, let me know down in the comments if you guys have any specific questions. Drop a like, drop a subscribe. Greatly appreciate it. Like I said, shit is really hard. Like it's not at all what it cracks up to be in terms of being an entrepreneur. I love the lifestyle myself. It's not for everyone. So I'm not going to LARP and pretend like I'm fucking blowing all this money or living this cool lifestyle right now. I used to. It wasn't worth it when I was paying $5K a month for a high rise in downtown Austin. These are just going to be chill. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.